Language and concept warning.
You are now tuned in to Umami Nights. Umami Nights. Umami Nights.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to Umami Nights. My name is Chong Ali. Thank you for joining me for another episode. This week's guest, the actor, producer, director Oakley Kwon, joins us for an incredible chat, a really inspiring chat about her creative journey in the acting world, as well as creating content and just producing creative works in general. She is the star of the hit SBS series Hungry Ghosts. She is a recurring character on Neighbours, and she's got a new movie coming out called Bloody Hell. So she's super busy, always, got her fingers in different pies. This chat was so valuable to me. It really lit a fire under me and got me motivated again, even especially coming towards the end of the year. But it was she just dropped so much knowledge, so many dimes, so many gems that I really feel like anybody that's pursuing a creative journey will find lots of value in. So this interview was recorded on Wednesday, the 9th of December. And without further ado, enjoy the interview. Okay, cool. But we're rolling now anyway, so ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Umami Nights. Thank you very much to my guest, Oakley Kwon, joining me today. She is best known for her starring role as Diane Tran in SBS's iconic ghost. What's it called? Like a thriller or a horror? What's it called?
Yes, it's a genre-bending TV series, TV miniseries called it's called
Hungry Ghost. Hungry Ghost, and it's been nominated for Best Teleseries and Miniseries for 2020.
Yeah.
Everybody, please, big round of applause for Oakley Kwon.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us today, Oakley.
Thanks for inviting me.
Oh, absolutely. We've been trying to line this up for yonkers. But we finally got here.
Yeah.
And first of all, congratulations on all of the success for Hungry Ghosts. I've been seeing you everywhere doing, basically from Neighbours, your recurring role on Neighbours, and all the way to now Hungry Ghosts. Hungry Ghosts is massive.
Yeah, it's huge. It's like you said, I think it's going to be an iconic sort of production, especially for the Vietnamese Australian community, because it is based around 4 Vietnamese families and their stories. A couple of the stories are quite harrowing stories about the Vietnamese experience in terms of being refugees and coming to Australia as both people and being accepted there, and the ghosts and that they have to deal with, or the skeletons in the closet that they have to deal with.
Yeah.
Or that we all have to deal with, I suppose. Either it's personally, you and I, it's either our parents or ourselves or our grandparents or aunts and uncles. We turn left, we turn right, no doubt. We will know somebody who's gone through that experience before.
Yeah. And we can't really escape it, can we? Like, it's part of our identity, but it doesn't really define us. That's one of the things. Yeah, it's one of those things where I've got to be really delicate about it when I explain it to people who haven't been through the process or hasn't been affected by it. It's because on one hand, I do want to pay homage to the sacrifices that my parents made, to get here. But on the other hand, it's like, that's not where the story ends, though. It kind of just starts there. Do you know what I'm saying? So when I see something like Hungry Ghosts, that is broadcasted to the mainstream, and it's not just like a footnote in the story. It's like it's spread out amongst the whole thing. Yeah. It's like, oh, thank you. Like, that's a long conversation to have,
Absolutely. And, the touching thing about it is that we've received, each one of the cast members on the show has received messages from people saying, you know, how the story resonates with them. And it's not just about Vietnamese Australians, by the way, it's people from different ethnic cultures as well, sort of saying, you know, this experience resonates with me too. So it really sort of highlights that Australia is a multicultural society.
Yeah. Yeah.
And a lot of Australians have come from, you know, different backgrounds. They've come to either migrated or immigrated to Australia, either themselves or their parents have immigrated in sort of sometimes under harrowing circumstances. But you're absolutely right. So proud to be a part of the production because for the first time, you know, a Vietnamese story is the headline for a production on television.
Front and center, and you're part of it.
Yeah,
Big part of it. What was it like? What was it like? So walk me through the process. Like, did you audition? Did they hit you up? Did your agent hit you up and like, yo, Oakley, we got this thing. Keep it under wraps.
Yes.
It's called Hungry
Yeah.
Ghost. You know, like what was the process? How did they approach you? You know, and how did the whole thing start?
Okay, so first of all, I'm going to give a quick plug to my agent. They are BMEG in Brisbane. They also represent talent in Sydney as well. And it was through them that I got an audition. So Ro and Mav, who are the sort of principal directors, principal agents in that agency, they put out, I suppose, whenever there is a casting call, they offer talent that they think would be suitable for that. So obviously I was offered as a potential person to get an audition. And so I got an audition. It was a self-tape audition. So these days you don't have to be in an audition room to audition anymore. You can put forward a self-tape. So I asked one of my acting coaches to help me with regard to my audition, Peter Rasmussen. There's another plug.
Shout
Hi,
out.
Peter.
Shout out, Peter.
Yes,
You
that's
can help
right.
me with my audition tapes, Peter.
Yes. Well, actually, you know, if you are listening, Peter, I asked Peter helped me with my audition for Neighbours as well. So 2 for 2.
2 for 2.
Both auditions I got cast. Yes, 2
From
for
the
2.
free throw. Nice one, Peter. I like that strike rate.
But so Peter and I worked on my audition, and we put it down. We sent it in. So my agent sent it in, and then we got. It was like I didn't hear back for like months. It was like months before my agent sort of came back, and it was a really good story because when my agents contacted me again, they said. They think that I'm too old. They thought that I was too old for the role that I went for. So I actually went for my daughter's role. I auditioned for my daughter's role.
Yeah.
And the response back, you know, multiple months later, because I thought I didn't get it because it was so many months down the track. But they came back and they said, we think you're a little bit too old for the role, but there's another role that we'd like for you to audition for. Yeah. And the director would like to give you some notes in relation to it. And I thought, this is very unusual. And I asked Romav, is this usual that a director gives notes for auditions? And they said, it's not unheard of, but it is unusual. So really take advantage of the fact that you've got the director who can sort of give you a bit of notes in terms of what they're looking for. So I called up Sean, who's the director, and sort of asked him about the role and what he was thinking and what his thoughts were in relation to the role. But Sean was actually more about what did I think about the role.
Right.
And for those who haven't seen the show, the character Diane is a mother of, you know, 2 wonderfully smart, high achieving girls, and she's also got a granddaughter, but her history is that she was a bow person. And so when I discovered that this was the role, I thought, gee, I'm kind of glad that they've offered me an opportunity to audition for this one, because this really resonates with me. I mean, I was a boat person, although I wasn't old. I was like 2 years old when I was a boat person. My parents were boat people. We were in the same boat together. And I thought, this is like the perfect character, because I can sort of look back at my own history and really sort of delve into what the character would be like. So really, my discussion with Sean was, this is my personal experience, and this is what I think the character would be like.
Yep.
And then we put down, so I put down an audition tape for Diane, and within a couple of weeks I heard back, and they wanted to book me. So that's
Nice.
that. Yeah.
It's so important, isn't it, when I think that exchange between, say, your director and casting you, to have that conversation about, like, I actually have a lived experience. I can bring the authenticity to the role.
Yeah.
Just the director being open to that and go, you know what? I need to listen right now. I need to take the back seat and let this person drive.
Yeah. So that's one of the beautiful things about Sean. He is an actor's director in the sense that he really trusts the actors to bring to the role that authenticity that you mentioned.
Yep.
And also the perspective as well. So we were all very grateful in terms of all of the actors and all the cast. We were all very grateful for that approach on set. And I have to sort of admit, the way that he directed allowed us to grow together as a family. So we still stay in touch. We're nice. We're like this. And all of the Hungry Ghosts cast. We still stay in touch. We're dotted across Australia, so we've got some in Melbourne, some in Sydney, and then I'm the only person in Brisbane. So when we get together, I fly to Sydney to catch up with everyone.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
And so when you're on set, and like obviously they're going to be long days, you know, and there's going to be like, was there much adjustment to the script as you were going? Like, was there a lot of sort of back and forth between cast members, writers, producers, directors? Was there a lot of discussions about how you could bring, you know, that authenticity out more from the script?
I think there are changes to scripts all the time in all productions, and so you have different colours scripts. So every time they change something, you have a different colour for the script, and so you know which script is the most current script that you have. But in terms of injecting more authenticity to the script, it was more my engagement with Sean on the day of the shoot, where we actually do the rehearsal and see how it feels, and then from that we kind of sort of say, yeah, this feels right, or no, this doesn't feel right, and that was, for me, that was the way that I worked with Sean. But I suspect Sean works differently with each of the actors in the cast, depending on their personality and depending on how they like to work.
Yeah. Now, you know, being such a tight crew, obviously it's unavoidable working so closely with each other for, you know, long periods of time and long hours in the day too. What was the feeling like when you guys got nominated for best teleseries and miniseries? Like, you know, were you together? Was this before? This was before coronavirus, right? Like when you got nominated?
No, this is after. This is during and after coronavirus.
So you couldn't even get together. Couldn't even high five. You had to like mask it up.
The thing is that we have this Facebook group, messenger group, that we're all on. So we kind of created it whilst we were on set, and we stayed on it ever since. And so anytime there's you know, a tiny ounce of news about Hungry Ghosts, it's like one person will share it and then everybody knows it, and then we're all excited. And then we all share it on our internet, our social media and sort of stuff. So that's how Asians do it, I've noticed.
Yeah,
we're just really good at spreading gossip.
Yeah, that's so true. It's funny because it's true. Now,
I mean, we so enjoyed the experience in terms of sharing the story and helping with the publicity of it.
Yeah.
Because you know, we're really good at communication. We're really good at, I mean, Asians, we're just quite naturally good at, you know, networking and connecting with people because we enjoy each other's company and that sort of stuff, and we like spreading the word.
Yeah.
So we really, we all had a vested interest in promoting Hungry Ghosts, and so we all sort of helped SBS with regard to identifying, the Vietnamese media, press outlets that they should sort of pitch it to, and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So I should do a big shout out to all of the cast, because all of the cast pitched in to sort of get the news about Hungry Ghosts out.
Yeah.
So we managed to get in, Viet Lawton, and we got into TV Tuần Sang. So it's like super.
Shout out. And I think I don't know if it's just the Vietnamese community, but it kind of feels like we kind of starve for positive representations in the media. So anytime anything like this pops up and it's really well executed and the production's off the chain, it's like, yes, we got one. Send them out. Go get them out there,
I think there's still a lot more work to do, though. I think it's just the beginning, and it's from this that we need to sort of put in concerted effort to keep growing and keep strengthening, because we don't want to be the one-hit wonders, and then people forget about this whole journey that we've had to go through. Yeah. So we want to be able to build on that momentum, and that's why I'm going to be focusing my attention on creating content that is inclusive and diverse, and championing those stories, because I'm fairly new to acting. I've only been in the industry since 2017, and I've worked really hard to be able to get the roles that I've gotten, and I'm really very thankful to my agent and luck and the universe and all that sort of stuff. But my exposure to the industry has really opened my eyes to how biased the industry is.
Yeah.
And up until now, I had sort of not paid any attention to that bias at all. And I thought it was just normal, but it actually isn't normal. It isn't normal. The industry and media doesn't actually represent the diversity in our society, in our community. So, for example, how many people with disabilities in lead roles do we see? Almost none.
Yeah.
How many people of culturally diverse backgrounds in lead roles do you see? None. How many transgenders? Very few, or none. So that's how sort of bad it is, and because we've been exposed to that same old media for such a long time, we think that that's normal.
Yeah.
And I used to think it was normal, but it's not. It's not, and it's time for change. And I think with Black Lives Matter and with the trend that we're seeing at the moment, that people are starting to wake up.
Yeah.
And starting to recognise the importance of representation in media. Because I think it was a UN study that was saying that children as young as 8 were limiting their career prospects because they didn't think that they were the right fit or the right background, and so on. So we owe it to our children to make sure that they're actually seeing themselves on media, so that they can sort of, feel empowered to do whatever it is that they want to do in life, and not be constrained by, I don't know, their gender, not be constrained by their ability or disability, not be constrained by their heritage and their background.
Yeah, it's so important, isn't it? Just to again, like what you said, see yourself, on the mainstream medias. For so long, the only time I saw, like, just for me, the only time I saw Asians like me, Asians in the West, was on YouTube. That was the only time I saw us represented. It was never in mainstream media. It was never in mainstream music or movies, on TV, anything. It was only YouTube. We had Bruce Lee, and and that was probably pretty much the only sort of Asian dude in the West, because everyone else is like Asians in Asia, which is fantastic, but we want to feel like I guess again, like, I just want to see my flavor, my style, the way I think on TV as well, to make me feel normal. I mean, like, I'm not such an outsider. That's why I think things like Hungry Ghosts is so important for people to go, oh, okay, this is the starting point this is the jump off. Keep building from there,
Yeah. I think there are a couple of, you sort of hit the nail on the head there. The there are a couple of points to that. First is that Hunger Ghost allowed me to really accept and embrace my heritage. Growing up, I was surrounded by Caucasians, very few Asians in class. From primary school to high school to even university, I chose to go into an area where there were lots of, men. And so I wasn't exposed. Lots of men and not a lot of Asians around me either. So I grew up with, Western Occidental values, liberal values and things. And so for a long time, I kind of, what would be the word? I kind of either avoided or underplayed my Vietnamese heritage. And it wasn't until Hunger Ghosts that I actually learnt that it was important for me to embrace it. Because I am who I am, and I should be proud about not just being Australian, but I should be goddamn proud about being Vietnamese too. And so absolutely, I'm really, really proud of being Vietnamese. Now, because I wasn't before. I was running away from it before. And see, that's a sad thing. When
that's huge.
So, and I'm not sure if it resonates with other people, but it certainly was a big eye opener for me, accepting my heritage and embracing it and being proud of it. There's nothing wrong with, being Asian, living in Australia. There's nothing wrong with looking the way that I look in a country where, you predominantly the majority of the population is Occidental and fairer skin, that sort of stuff, blue eyes, fairer skin.
Yeah.
So it was important for me to accept and to embrace that. So that's the first point, and it was so, and it wasn't just me who was experiencing that. Catherine or Kat, who's the lead in Hungry Ghosts, she had a similar experience. So, or she had a slightly different experience in the sense that her mother's Vietnamese, but her father's not. And growing up, she had the surname of Davies, and people would always misrepresent her heritage in the sense that they didn't even acknowledge the Vietnamese part of her heritage. And I think Hungry Ghosts sort of gave her an avenue to reclaim that part of her. So the show on so many levels is so important. So, but that's the first thing. And I forgot my second point. That's okay.
Yeah, well, this is what the show's all about. This is what the show's all about. We rant and we go on tangents, and then we go, you know what? Let's just change the subject. We get straight back into it. You'll probably remember later anyway.
Yeah, we will. We'll remember later, but it's not, if it's not important.
These conversations surrounding the identity and forging our own identity and just owning it, I think is so important to have anyway, because in a sense we're kind of like the first ones to even have this conversation with each other. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know for my parents, when they got here, we're like, all right, we need to knuckle down and we need to survive.
Yeah.
That was pretty much the conversation they had with each other. But now it's like, okay, we're surviving. Thanks, Mom. Thanks, Dad. Now I'm trying to sort of figure out where I belong in society and who am I? Where do I fit? Where do I stand? And just owning these things, there's qualities about me that I own. There's qualities that I need to sort of modify to fit in a better, Western society or whatever. And just having these conversations with other people who are thinking the same things. They go, well, you seem to be doing well. What are you doing that's working? And then maybe I can use some of that or whatever, and because Asians, Vietnamese in Australia are totally different to Vietnamese in America. Even though when we speak Vietnamese, it sounds identical. I'm like, oh my God, my brother, my sister. But it's like their lifestyle is completely different. So it's so important to be connected in the Australian community first, and then we can sort of branch out and go, oh yeah, cool. We got this whole thing going on here. What about you guys? What's happening over there?
Yeah, very true. So true. It's because I think it's partly because, the Australian culture is different to the American culture. And to a greater or lesser extent, we've grown up in this environment, so we would have taken on that, that Australian culture, as opposed to the Americans. They've taken on different values, and that sort of stuff. But yeah, so true. I think authenticity is a really important conversation for the next generation of Vietnamese Australians or Asian Australians to have, and the reason is we've got feet in both camps. We've got parents who are the traditional Vietnamese or Asians, and then you've got the other foot in the other camp, which is Australian, and a multicultural Australian, by the way. So we have our own identity, and I think our story, our that mixed heritage, mixed background story is really important to tell as well, because it's not exactly the same as our parents' story, and it's not exactly the same as the Australian story either. So the struggle that you and I have in terms of identity is unique. And I think it's important for us to be able to have an avenue to talk about that, because to a greater or lesser extent, I think not having a clear sense of self, because you've got this ambiguity in terms of which identity do I take, can have taxing effects on your mental health.
Oh, 100%.
And your confidence.
Yeah, 100%. It's the difference between sort of having that pause and doubting yourself, and go, oh, maybe I don't deserve this, and as opposed to just being outright go, this is what I want, this is what I need, this is how I'm going to get it. Do you know what I mean? Like, just that second of pausing and go, oh, but maybe, like, without that confidence, it's like, maybe I don't deserve this because I don't even know who I am, and like, if I, how do I even get it? If you don't have that example before you, in front of you, or something similar, then you don't know how to frame it. Like, you don't know how to go or get there. You know what I mean?
And have you sort of experienced the guilt?
Sorry?
I'm not sure. Guilt.
Yeah.
So when you sort of do things that against your parents' tradition, you feel guilty that you're doing that.
Oh.
And you're running away from your heritage. And then when you're doing things which are, Asian or Vietnamese, then you feel guilty that you're not trying hard enough to fit in.
Yeah.
Or that somehow you're doing a disservice to yourself by not wanting to fit in, whatever.
Yeah.
So the journey for me has been just accepting that whatever you choose is fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just your choice. It's just your journey. That's it. You don't have to justify yourself to anybody.
You don't owe anything to anybody. I think the biggest breakthrough for me was just giving myself permission to just like wholeheartedly embrace my artistic journey. Just like just going, you know what, man, you are an artist and you can do whatever you want to do, and don't worry about what you think that other people are gonna want you to do or expect you to do or be, because like on one hand that makes me who I am, but it doesn't sort of make me who I'm going to be in the future, because I dictate that. You know what I mean? Like, that's the building blocks for who I am, but I get to choose now. And that
you've done such amazing stuff though.
Oh, thank you. A lot of it's fluke, to be honest. A lot of it's a fluke, but I think just and not caring about what people say, you know what I mean? Like, because I failed so much. Like, I've just like had buffets of humiliation for so long. It's like, man, there's nothing you're gonna do to me now at this point. I haven't done to myself. So I was like, man, I don't care anymore. I'm just free to create now, and I feel like I've got the most success from that. Just being free and just like, man, this is who I am. Like what you were saying before, like just take me as I am, like embracing who you are, and just like setting yourself, just let it all hang out, not worry about it.
That's right. Owning you. Owning you, being proud of you, and being confident in terms of sharing yourself to everyone. Oh, that's pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome. Yeah.
So how did you like get an interest in acting? Was that something that you've wanted to do for a long time, or like when you're as a kid, or when did you get bitten by the acting bug?
Let me see. So it was probably year 10. And I was cast as a mother. I tend to be cast as mums. There's something about me that makes me, very bubbly. Who
Do you
knows?
have sisters?
Yeah, I've got one sister,
Are you the older
younger
sister?
sister. I'm
Okay,
the
there you
eldest.
go.
Yeah,
You're the
yeah.
older. Yeah,
I don't know, but yes,
it might
that's
just be in
right.
the mannerisms and the way you just look after people and take care of people. And you're like, what? You know what? They're just projecting. Like, I would want you to be my mother.
Yes, that's right. So I was cast as a mother, a sarcastic mother, by the way. And I really, really enjoyed the process of, rehearsing, learning lines, and then standing on stage and performing. So I enjoyed the whole rehearsal process. But, my parents are your typical Asian tiger parents, and they didn't believe in anything other than maths and science. If
Yep.
you're not doing maths and science, you're not
wasting
really
your time.
studying.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
That's right.
100%. Yeah.
So drama, unless it was compulsory, you weren't allowed to do it. And
Yep.
so, yes, I had to sort of weasel myself out of that whole theatre production, because the theatre production was actually after hours.
Okay.
So you rehearsed during school time, and I had a great time rehearsing. But then when it came time to the performance, it was after school. And so my parents didn't let me do that. So I had to sort of find a way to weasel myself out. But anyway, that was the first experience in terms of how much I enjoyed and was, what was it? I didn't feel self-conscious on stage.
Oh, really?
I was just really comfortable on it. And I didn't have any anxiety or nervousness or apprehension in relation to playing a character on stage. It was just a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But which kind of reminds me, I think I enjoyed performing even before Year 10. So in grade 6, we had this production that I was in, and the story is, we rehearsed and it was time for the show, and we all went out onto the stage, and it was then my turn to come out on the stage, and I came out on the stage and people started laughing, and I thought, gee, I must be doing a really good job in terms of, I'm sort of, because my character was funny, and I thought, gee, I'm doing a really good job, and I was feeling quite chuffed by the reaction of the audience. And then so I finished my part, and then I came inside, and then people kind of came to me and said, Oakley, you've got something stuck on your bum.
Oh, no.
So what had happened was, this is in grade 6, right? You had to make your own props. One of my props was a watch. I cut it out using cardboard paper, and I stuck it on my wrist, but somehow it fell off and it got stuck, and I must have sat on it. And then I went out with this watch dangling on my bum.
Oh, no.
And yeah, so the audience thought it was part of the show.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I thought, yes, okay. But anyway, I was mortified. I was very embarrassed, but that didn't stop me. I enjoyed it. There was this
Well
other
done.
time where I was playing, what was I? I was playing an ancient Greek mythology, in an ancient Greek mythology play, and I took it so seriously. There was this one point where my character slapped the other character, and I took it so damn seriously. I went, bang!
Oh.
And she was so shocked. Afterwards, she had this like red hand mark on her face.
No. Is that called method acting?
Is it? Yes.
It's just like one-way method acting. Like she wasn't part of the method acting. It was just you that was part of it.
That's right. Yes, that's right. Don't give Oakley a psychotic role to play, because that could be scary.
Oh, man.
Yeah, but I had lots of fun. So I think I've always enjoyed that thespian, that I don't know, performance side of things, but was never allowed to for reasons that my parents didn't believe in it.
Yeah.
And
is so pursuing it sort of a little bit after school and stuff, is that just because like you kind of felt like, what, I've done all the things that I feel like I need to do, let me just go and explore my creative juices now, you know what I mean? Like, it's like it's a hobby that turned into like, like another career. It's like, oh man, like you're moonlighting as an actor for real now,
Yeah, that's right. For me, I've always had that sort of dichotomy in terms of interest, in the sense that I've always enjoyed the analytical side of my brain, and I've also enjoyed the creative side of my brain too. So throughout my, you can call it upbringing, and also throughout my schooling, I've balanced things out, because I followed the traditional path of, you know, going down to law school and blah, 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 sort of exercising that analytical side of the brain. But along the way, I've also done creative things as well. So I've done radio production, for example, writing stories, for example, and then obviously now acting and that sort of stuff. So my brain is never satisfied when I'm only doing one thing. So when I'm just doing creative stuff, I get, I yearn for a bit of stability through the analytical stuff. When I just do analytical stuff, I get bored and I yearn for the creative stuff. So I've always had to sort of interweave both in my life.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be the continuing case as I move forward.
And now that you have sort of explored this, you know, the creative journey, does that inform, you know, what you do now with your media production stuff? Like last time we spoke, which was a few years ago, like when we went to dinner with Diana, shout out to Diana. You were telling me about the media production company that you were doing. Like, does your acting and all the sort of networking and sort of all your experience there, does that inform what you do now as a content creator moving forward?
Oh, absolutely. I'm a true believer of with life experience comes perspective and enlightenment, so to speak. So what I find with my creative stuff is that I do an intense period of creative stuff and then I rest. And then I come back and do more. And every time I come back, my creative perspective becomes a little bit more well-rounded and a little bit more mature, I suppose. So with all of my history and what I've gone through, it has and will inform what I do creatively in terms of the content that I create. So that's one side of it, and that's a personal sort of exploration thing. The other side is I'm also a very practical person in the sense that I'm a means to an end kind of person. So I do what needs to be done in order to achieve a goal. So going into acting, I was told when I first started that it's a really hard industry to break into. So having been told that, I knew that I had to sort of put in a lot of focus and a lot of attention to sort of getting work. And so I listened to other people's advice, and other people were sort of saying, if you can't get roles, make your own content, because that may be the only way that you're going to sort of be able to practice your skills. And so absolutely, I listened to that advice, and from, I think it was like 8 months into my acting course, I started to create my own content. I had no idea what I was doing, but that doesn't matter. You kind of experiment and fail your way through life, and then afterwards you learn from those failures, and you all of a sudden become better at what you've been trying to work on. Because honestly, unless you spend lots and lots and lots of money learning the trade, which could take lots and lots of money and lots of time, the alternative is to fail and fail fast. Learn and fail fast. Go out and experiment, and even if it's horrible first experience, try again. The next time it's better, and the next time it's better. Then all of a sudden you find, I kind of know how to do this stuff now.
I love that. That mantra, like fail and fail fast. I absolutely love that. Like just getting it all out the way. Just like, you've got to get the hours in. And like, for me, like we used to, like it was always DIY with rap, and like it was always like recording on the laptops. And back then it was like just, whatever equipment we can get our hands on, and we would record into like 8 tracks and all that stuff. And every once in a while I'd find a burnt CD of like the stuff that we did back then. I'm like, get rid of it now. Like bury it, crush it, burn it, get rid of it, because I don't want that to be out there. But we had to do it. Like it's like what you said, like we created our own content. We found a way. There was no hope of us getting signed up to a record label and going to a big studio to create music. There was no way, absolutely no way. We're in Brisbane, Australia. We're Asians rapping. Like, come on, man. So it's like, what else we can do? We're gonna make our own, same as what you just did. Like create your own content and just do it. And we sucked so bad, like so bad, so bad. And thankfully, none of it's out there. But it was that same mentality. Like, I love it when you said, you know, fail and fail fast. I think
Yeah.
the best advice, because I feel like people just they only see Oakley Kwon on Hunger Ghost. They don't see Oakley Kwon when she was just starting out, 8 months into the acting course,
Yeah.
and she's trying to do her own thing. You know, like, you've got to do the work. You got to
Yeah.
grind. You know, eat. You got to eat bags of poo before you can, you know, be up there under
That's right.
lights in SBS. You know, like, it's got to.
Yeah.
And for people to hear it from somebody like you, that's, you know, relatively new to the acting game, in your words, but like, you've done so much already in the acting game, you've achieved so much in a relatively small amount of time. It's like, if they can hear that from you, they'll be like, oh, it's more motivation for them. Like, yeah, like, I gotta go and start failing right now, you know.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I think I recently saw someone, um, a Vietnamese rapper in the States who recently passed away, and her motto was, "I'm I'm a person with two hands and 2 feet, and you know, if just like you, and if I can do it, you can do it too.
Yeah,
I'm nothing special. I'm just a normal person, and likewise, I'm just a normal person with two hands as well. And you know, if I can do it, you can do it too. All it requires is passion, dedication, focus, and effort,
yeah,
and you're good to go."
yeah,
And one thing that I've learned about being the creative in the creative industry for us, and also having that mantra of failing and failing fast, is you learn. Well, I've learned to get very thick skin, and also to let go of my ego. Who cares, man?
yeah,
Who cares if you suck?
yeah,
Because you're just learning. You may suck today, you may not suck tomorrow, or you may suck today, you may still suck tomorrow, but in a few years' time, you might not suck so bad.
yeah,
So, but unless you go through that journey of knowing that you do suck and that you can improve, you're never going to improve.
yeah,
And so I think a lot of what holds people back is that fear of failure and that fear of embarrassment.
yeah.
When you get over that, boy, life is so much more fun.
It's so much
It's
better.
like, yes, you know,
Yeah.
who cares if you've got snot up your nose
Oh, dude.
and you're
I
on camera? Who cares?
I feel like when you get past that level of, like, not worried about what other people think about you, and like, not worried about failing, and not worried about looking silly or whatever, once you get past that threshold, you meet other people who are like that, and then you go,
Yeah.
oh, we're at the party now, let's go, let's go. You know what I mean? So everybody now at the party is like, willing to do like wild stuff and take wild risks. I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, I'm down, let's go, man. You know?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So I think for me, my journey now is about. So I've gotten to the point of authenticity, which is awesome. My next point, my next development curve or milestone is integrity. What I mean by that is, um, because of where I've come from, I like to get mutual benefits for everybody. So I like to sort of coordinate and collaborate and make everyone happy. And so we all produce something together and collaboratively. But sometimes you need to just state your opinion. For example, with my character and with the roles that I play, sometimes I just have to say, this is how the character should be. Doesn't matter what you think. I'm playing the role, and this is how the character should be played authentically, and you just do it. And I think for me, that's a lesson that I have to learn, and that's the next journey that I'm on in terms of finding that place of integrity for the roles and the creative content that I create. So not to compromise because I want to please other people or I want to make it easy. I want to make the process easy, but having integrity in relation to the creative content
Yeah.
is my next learning curve.
And it's so important, isn't it? Because we need to see that example of that integrity, of where not like there is no compromise. Like, this is how I feel, like, as in me as a person with my lived experience, this is how I feel like it should be. The more that we see that example set, the more us coming up or others coming up, like, yeah, like, I need to fight for what I believe in to make this right as well. So
Yeah,
that way,
yeah,
as a whole, we all have to do it, so that then people just get the message and goes, all right, just let them do it their way, because obviously they know what's good, you know.
yeah. That's right, and that's so true because You know, for me, I went into Hungry Ghost feeling like I was the new kid on the block, which I was. You know, the other cast members in um, in the ensemble cast have been in the industry for at least 10 years, and they're so experienced and so good and skilled in terms of what they do. And so I kind of think, yeah, I'm the new kid on the block. I'll just take what I'm given, and I'll just be quiet. And I'm not sure whether that sort of resonates with other people who are, of different cultural backgrounds in society. But sometimes a lot of we kind of just feel like we should just, get what we're given and be quiet.
Yeah.
So my journey is not that anymore. It's no, don't be quiet. If it's wrong, it's wrong. If you feel it's wrong, you say it and you stand up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
And that's why I'm now focusing on diverse content, because I feel that the current representation levels is wrong.
Yeah, it's abysmal.
And I'm taking a stand. A
100%.
stand. I'm going, no, this is wrong. We're now going to do something about it. And I'm not going to be afraid that I'll be blacklisted by producers and other people. I'm going to be blacklisted, but I don't care, man.
Yeah.
Because change doesn't happen through fear. Change happens by people staring fear in the face and saying, I'm going to have courage and I'm going to fight this because it's the right thing to do.
100%. I love that. And the good thing about creating your own content is like you're not beholden to anybody. Like there is no stakeholders or shareholders that you need to make happy. Like, you know what, man? I don't care what you think because you're not running the show here. Like, guess who's running the show?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, like if it's undeniably good, people will come and people will be attracted to it. And once like you build up the attention and you have eyeballs on you, it's like eyeballs equals advertising dollars. You know what I mean? And there's like at that point it's like, hey, guess who's got all the leverage? You know what I mean? Like
that's right.
And the more we create diverse content, like and I hate to say diverse content because, and this is just coming from like a layman's perspective, but it's like the way I grew up in Australia, it's like the word diverse never existed because like for me, I grew up around in a multicultural suburb, multicultural area. So like I didn't learn about the word diverse until I was like talking to academics that grew up in non-diverse areas. I'm like, what do you mean diverse? Like you mean like where I live? Because like that was normal to me. So now when I'm using the word diverse, I'm like, that's right. People didn't grow up like me, So when we create this content and then like I talk about my friends, like I don't say, oh, my Aboriginal friend or oh, my Samoan friend. I'm just like, yeah, they're my mates. Like that's just the mates that.
True.
You know what I mean?
True, isn't it? Yeah.
So it's just that's.
So for the longest time, I felt uncomfortable about identifying different people based on their race. So I was so uncomfortable about saying I was Vietnamese. I was just more comfortable saying I'm Australian. Right? Everybody's. I don't even take into account your racial differences because equity and fairness is where you actually see everyone the same. And so I kind of grew up with that. But similar to women's rights movements and all other movements where there's been some imbalance, sometimes you just have to swing the pendulum the other way and voice that extreme for a period of time until the balance is reached. And then you can say, okay, balance is reached now. I can revert back to it.
Right. Uh-oh. Hello. Oh, no. No. Oh, the internet just stopped. Okay, man, we're back on Umami Nights. We've got Oakley Kwon here. And the internet in the hood isn't always stable. So we dropped out, but we managed to pick up the pieces. We're recovering. And I don't remember what we're talking about, but Oakley knows. Oakley remembers. So the last thing I remember we were saying was like reclaiming or sort of reverting back to being able to refer to our friends as just our friends without having to identify them culturally.
Yeah, that's so true. That's so true. And it actually has reminded me about my second point before about what I was wanting to sort of say. I think I I really am blessed because I have to thank my agents for this, but they put me forward for roles that have not been stereotypically Asian. So they put me the role in Neighbours was Tanya Conlon. That's not a typically Asian role. The role they put me forward for in Bloody Hell, which is Angela Reynolds, and that's not a typically Asian role. So when I got into the industry and on set, people were kind of saying, talking about their experience as Asian actors, and they were saying, you know, I'm just glad I'm not having to play the prostitute or the restaurant owner or the laundromat owner and that sort of stuff. Because up until now, up until Hungry Ghost, I suppose, and hopefully moving forward into the future, Asian girls in particular get typecast into playing your Asian prostitutes or you know, fantasy fetish toys, whatever it is.
Yep.
But I've been really lucky that my agents have avoided that for me, except for Hungry Ghost, where I play the authentic me.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, that's
Because
right.
it's on your terms,
So,
isn't it?
yeah, that's right, that's right. So I'm hoping that moving forward into the future, where we do reach that equilibrium, where we have sort of swung to the other side because we've needed to sort of raise awareness of the, you know, the lack of equity and lack of diversity in the industry. Once we've gotten there and we've swung into a more balanced position, that yes, it will be blind casting, so to speak, in the
Yeah.
sense that, you know, it doesn't matter what race you are, it doesn't matter what age you are, it doesn't matter what ability or disability you have, it's blind.
Yeah.
There's a role, there's a character. If you can play it well, you've got the role.
Yeah, 100%. I feel like just because I don't really spend too much time in those circles, like it's all new to me. I'm still learning. I'm asking these questions because like I too want to have these conversations, but then sometimes I feel like, oh, these conversations are already kind of happening, and I'm kind of getting on. I'm getting on the last carriage trying to run to the front. I'm like, what's going on? Like, what are you guys talking about? You know, so I like the more conversations I have with people like yourself, in different fields, you know,
Yeah.
the more informed I am because like for me, my whole context is just in the rap world, like Asian rappers. Like, that's my whole context. I'm like, man, that's such a small, even though it's like a creative industry and all that sort of stuff, it's still such a limited and niche, I guess, existence, you know. So, I mean,
But
doing this.
you guys are leading the way. You guys are totally leading the way, though. So in a few years' time, you will be known as the legends that started it all.
Not probably not me, but like other people, but yeah, probably not me because like, I have really, I have really dumb conversations with my friends. Like they're like, I'm so glad we don't record them. Sometimes we record them, sometimes with David and stuff, but like it's just a lot of our stuff is shits and giggles, and we point out the obvious, and we make fun of like the hypocrisy and how you know. I think the only way we deal with it is through humor, to be honest.
Yeah.
With like the
Yep,
lack of
yep.
diversity, and it's just because it feels like this mountain and this massive wall that we just never feel that we'll be able to get over. The only thing we can do is sort of just reserve ourselves to just joking about it and like that'll never happen, you know what I mean? Like, and that's kind of how we deal with it. But I feel like talking to people like you, where like you're actually up and at it and you're trying to get at it. I'm like, yeah, maybe we should do something about it too, you know?
In your way, you're actually inspiring me and inspiring others to do the same. So I think we're inspiring each other in numbers. So the more conversations we have, the more people we inspire, we then start to be inspired by those people. And it really is just, at the moment, it is just about creating that groundswell. Um, and really standing up and saying, yeah, it's actually not okay. It's not okay to sort of say that just because I'm Asian that I'm not newsworthy or that I'm not promotion worthy or marketing worthy. No, I'm sorry. Please reassess, because in this day and age, discrimination is illegal. I'm sorry, but in any other industry, you'd be taken to, you know, the ombudsman except for in the creative industry. For whatever reason that is, we still tolerate discrimination.
I think it's just
And
about
it's
being insisting on holding people accountable, because these people, they know what the rights and wrongs are, but they just get away with what they can get away with until they can't get away with it. And I think you know, talking about what you're talking about, it's like we're just not letting them get away with it anymore. So I think
no, and I think one of the things that we have in our advantage is that for the Asian community, I'm not sure, but we're pretty, from what I see, we're pretty resourceful people. You know, so we've got a lot of strength in terms of our numbers. We've got lots of wealth. We're getting lots of well-educated people emerging in positions of power. And my philosophy is I first go into any new area by observing and watching and seeing how things work. And then if I have an issue, I'll voice it. If no one wants to listen to that, okay, that means that I have to get myself into a position of authority and power to change it so that people do listen, in a position of influence so that I can change it. Because that battle of battling against that big wave or, you know, climbing that mountain, it is tough.
Yeah.
It is so tough and it's demoralizing. And I'm not a fan of fighting that way. I'm more of a fan of if there's something wrong and I'm not in a position of authority to change it, I get myself into a position of authority to change it.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately, that's how society works. That's how our society works. And that's what we have to do.
Yeah.
But mind you, it's not a lost battle because, like I said, we're hugely resourceful. We've got lots of money, and we just need to leverage, pull that together, and create content, and sort of start a wave.
I'm here for it. Sign me up. Where do I sign up?
Oh my God!
Let's start recruiting people. Let's go. This is the call out. This is the call to action. We're all lining up behind Oakley.
Yes, it's a call to action. That's right. I mean, the church communities that I'm with, they raise so much money every year for charity courses and that sort of stuff. If we got their sympathy and their empathy, we could raise lots of money to create content in the music sector, in, you know, the film television sector if we wanted to.
Yeah.
There's lots of money out there and within our community. If we inspire people enough to think that this is a good cause, we'll make it happen.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we can inspire people. This conversation is pretty inspiring. Mark this down. This will be like the
That's right.
round zero of where the money starts rolling in.
This is awesome. This is where it all happens in Australia.
That's right. That's right. We started it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, moving on from Hungry Ghost and the Bloody Hell movie, which is coming out in 2021.
Yes. So in the United States, it's coming out in 2021, but it has been sort of limited. There's been a limited screening in Australia already.
Oh, okay.
And yes, we've gone and seen it. It's really, really good.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was. And just for those who may not know, horror films are the best to be an actor in. Dying in film is awesome.
Oh, wow. That's fantastic. I was an extra on a horror film called Two Heads Creek. Wow,
okay.
But I didn't get to die. I was like one of those, I was so far down the list that I just died off scene somewhere. I was like assumed dead. I didn't get to act dead. I just got assumed dead.
You got assumed dead. Oh.
Yeah. I know, right? But so is Bloody Hell like the kind of the last role you're playing, and then before you start concentrating on the content creation part?
Yeah, that's right. So it was a sad day when I sort of contacted my agent and said I'm actually going to. COVID has actually allowed me to rethink my purpose in life and also my direction and where I am at. And at this point in time, I'm going to sort of take a break from acting and focus on some other things. And I think some other things that I do want to focus on is content creation, because let me give a plug to Screen Queensland. They've actually got a program at the moment called RIDE, RIDE, and that's to fund productions that have diverse content in it. So people, for inclusivity purposes, so people of diverse backgrounds. So Piano Mums has been, I suppose,
Yeah.
supported with that. I love Piano Mums.
Shout out to
I
Avon.
have
Yeah,
to admit, yeah,
the homie Avon, man.
that's right.
Yeah.
I know. I lost out in playing the mum role in that.
Oh no, we can have a chat to Avon if you want, man.
Oh, that's right. The better mum won out. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
Oh man.
But so a big plug for that. So if you're a diverse creative content creator out there and you're listening in, get onto the Screen Queensland website and look for RIDE. And if you've got a script that's ready to go or a pitch, please contact them and see how you can get your stuff created.
Yeah.
And produced.
So moving on from 2020 and putting it behind us, 2021. Who would you like to thank for everything that you've done so far? What are you looking forward to in 2021?
Okay, so this is like my Oscars moment, is it?
I'm not going to play any music to walk you off. Don't worry. We've got time.
Sure.
Zoom's giving me 40 minutes, so we got plenty of time.
We got plenty of time. Well, I think the first people I need to thank are my parents, no doubt, 100%. I've had an up and down relationship with my parents because I've had identity issues in terms of not really knowing who I have been, and of course your normal stuff in the sense that children are always upset with their parents. I'm not sure if you're experiencing that with your kids at the moment.
Oh yeah, 100%. 100%.
Yes.
As soon as the sun comes up, they're upset with me. Until the sun goes down, it's like the only time they're not upset with me is when they're sleeping.
So hard.
Yeah, exactly. What else can I do? I don't know.
I know. So parents love their kids so much and do so much for their kids, but those great ungrateful little rats that they are always complaining. So I used to be one of those rats, ungrateful rats. And I thankfully for Hunger Ghosts, I've repaired that relationship. And I think Hunger Ghosts came to me and gave me more than just, exposure to the industry. It repaired my relationship with my parents. And so first and foremost, I need to thank them. I love them to bits.
Oh.
I might have been a little bit difficult to handle when I was growing up. I love them to bits. Mum and dad both. And then I've got my siblings who I thank. And I thank them because they allowed me to fall back in love with family. So I had been in Canberra for 10 years, away from my family for such a long time. And then I decided one day to move to Brisbane because I bought an apartment here and I had to sort of come and visit it. But as I was here, they gave me the opportunity of falling in love with them again, because I kind of raised my twin brothers at the age when they were just born until the age of 2 and 3. I was very close to them, and then I moved to Canberra and kind of lost touch. And then I came back, and then voila, fell in love again. And the reason why that's so important and why I need to thank them is that love is so important. It's one of the most valuable things that human beings can experience. And having sort of a loving family is so important and so essential. So those are the people that I need to thank first and foremost. If I'm going to name my siblings, I shouldn't I? So Marina, and then there's Martin, and then there's Ruben, and then there's Hugh. So there are 5 of us in the family, and they've gone through and had to deal with a lot with regard to this crazy harebrained sister that they have. And who else do I need to thank? I need to thank my partner for being so supportive. He's actually gotten all of his family and all of his friends to watch Hungry Ghosts and to go out and watch bloody hell, even though they're not into horror movies. They've gone in and watched it until I appear on screen, and then they quickly duck out and I'll find some reprieve somewhere.
It's a good compromise, man.
Yes, that's right. That's right. So my partner's name's Dave, if he's listening, and I'm sure he will be
Dave.
listening. Thanks, Dave. And all of the people in my life who have helped me along the journey and along the way, and who've supported my creative journey. So Kevin's one of them. Who else would have been there? All of my acting coaches, Peter. So many acting coaches. Oh, the people, the casting agents who gave me my first break. Joey Vieira and Ben Parkinson. So thank you so much. They actually put me in touch with BMEG, who became my agents, and that's where it all started. Yeah, all of the people I've worked with, but the entire cast of Hungry Ghosts, I love them to bits. Boy, we call ourselves the crazy spooky Asians.
I love that. I love that.
Yes,
oh man, that's
right.
a good band name too. Like you could do
The
like
crazy
a
spooky Asians.
yeah, you could do like a rap crew out of that. Crazy Spooky Asians.
Yeah, and a big shout out to Sean Seat, who was the director on Hungry Ghosts. I think he needs to be acknowledged for the great directing work that he's done on so many productions, but in particular on Hungry Ghosts. I saw him in action, and the respect he had for the people was just, it was just wonderful. So there you go. I'd like to thank the world and wish for world peace, but that would get too corny.
Yeah. No, we can only have one corny thing per episode. We cap it.
Yeah, that's right.
Before I let you go, and thank you again for coming on and giving us so much of your time. Aside from the fail and fast advice, what other advice could you give a young, up and coming actor that you wish that somebody gave you?
That I wish somebody gave me. Okay. Something that Sunny Lee, who's a fellow acting friend of mine, where we went through NIDA together. Have a fallback plan, guys. go get an education, and have a stable income, and then dive into the acting industry, because it will rip your heart out, man. It's hard work. If you love acting, you will always love acting, and you will always return back to it. And so, like me, I may be on a hiatus now, but I'll return back when it's time. But you don't want to be acting in a desperate way. You don't want to be a desperate actor. And so either take a year off and earn some money and have that in your back pocket whilst you're trying to sort of get yourself ahead in terms of the acting space. Don't turn into a bitter actor, because I've seen it before as well. Because the industry is so harsh that, and you know how you fail all the time? Yeah, actors get rejected every other day. We get auditions. We probably get maybe 1% of the auditions that we go to. 99% of the time we get rejected, because there's more actors than there are roles. So it can be very demoralising, and it will rip your heart out because it's something that you love to do. So have a fallback plan is the advice that I would give to actors. But don't ever give up. If you've got that fuel in you, keep fighting. Your chance will come, because when you fight for it, it will come. It will come. It'll just take time. And so you need to be able to sustain yourself whilst you're waiting for that to come.
Amazing. Oakley Kwon, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time and such a great conversation. I honestly thought I was going to come on here and banter with you, but like you actually dropped so much knowledge. I'm so glad we did it.
Badger's good.
Yeah. I mean, I do it every other day, so it's like it's good to
Yeah.
actually have some value and some good content on this podcast every so often.
You didn't say that, guys. Edit that out.
Yeah,
Edit that
yeah.
out. All of his previous guests. You're
I'm
awesome.
I'm the editor. Thank you again so much, Oakley. And like, be sure to let us know if you're whatever you're doing in the future. Jump on. Let's have another chat.
Yeah.
And again, I really dig your message and I really dig your fight. And anything you need, let me know. I'm sure, like, there are other people out there who are feeling the same. So,
Yeah, absolutely. So can I? One thank that I didn't. One person I forgot to thank is let me thank you, Chong
oh,
Ali, because let me thank you, because you've opened my eyes to Vietnamese rap. Before you, I wasn't listening to Vietnamese rap, and you've opened my eyes and my ears to it. So
oh,
thank you. You're
wow.
actually, for me, you're leading the way in that space in Australia.
Oh my God. Thank you.
And so keep up the good work. You inspire me so much. Sometimes I feel like exiting the creative industry because of the amount of work that needs to be done. It just tires me to even think about it. But then I follow you and you're making stuff happen. You're going on photo shoots and shooting people wearing your t-shirt, and you're on BMAC, and then you're doing this, you're doing shows and so on and so forth. And you're doing this podcast. And so you inspire me. So thank you very much for that. Keep
Oh,
up the
thank
good
you.
work. We
I
will support
appreciate
each
that.
other moving
100%.
forward.
100%. We're not going anywhere. I appreciate
Yeah.
that, Oakley. Thank you so much. Yeah, man. I'll have a chat to you soon. I hope you have an incredible night, and yeah, I'll hit you up. Chat soon.
Chat soon.
Thank you so much for
Bye.
jumping on Umami Nights. Oakley Kwon, make some noise. Thank you,
Awesome.
Oakley. Talk to you soon.
Thanks.
Bye.
Catch you later. Bye.